Greetings, candidates, and welcome back to the lesson. The subject is strategic management. Today we are going to wind up the topic matching organizational structure to strategy, and the last subtopic is collaboration with external parties and strategic allies. This is subtopic number 8, collaboration with external parties and strategic allies, or what we call network structure. Network structure. Now, candidates, in the modern era, in the modern corporate strategy, the traditional closed hierarchy is now being replaced by the network structure. The traditional hierarchical structure as we know it is slowly being replaced and increasingly being replaced by the network structure. And this occurs when a firm realizes that it cannot perform every activity in the value chain itself. Instead, the firm acts as a hub coordinating a web of external experts and also strategic allies. So instead of having the normal structure, organizational structure, CDEF, this kind of rigid, traditional, closed hierarchy is being replaced by the network, so that the company at the center here is just referred to as a hub coordinating allies, experts who are external. You understand? The company acts as a hub that coordinates a web of external specialists and strategic allies. So this external A, B, C, D, E, F. Because as the company realizes that you cannot employ every specialist, you cannot build all the offices that are required. So what you do? You outsource. A network structure is designed for flexibility and also specialized focus. It allows a company to remain lean by outsourcing non-core functions while maintaining tight collaborative link with partners who provide critical expertise. So instead of having many departments, hierarchical, no, you just maintain your core tasks, then everything else is outsourced. So when do you use this network structure? When is it appropriate to shift from the traditional hierarchical organization structure to the network structure? When to use? Let me answer the question. When to use? This one is mainly used, candidates, in industry where there is high innovation. High innovation. What do you mean by high innovation? This is when technology changes too fast for one company to own all the research and development. There is also asset light. You can also talk about the asset light strategy. Asset light strategy. This is when a firm wants to avoid the heavy costs of owning factories or warehouses. Asset light. You have investment in very few assets. That's what you're calling light. Then, of course, another reason is global reach. Global reach. when a farm needs, for example, local expertise in 50 different countries, but doesn't want to build 50 full-scale offices, then you adopt the network structure. You can imagine if you have a strategy of having presence in 50 countries. You can imagine building 50 offices and staffing those offices and equipping those offices. It can be very expensive. So if you have a strategy of having a global reach, then you may go for the network structure, which you've said allows a company to remain lean by outsourcing the non-core functions while maintaining a tight collaborative link with partners who provide critical expertise. So if you want to reach 50 countries, then you can partner with the local entities in those countries. So this is a time when you use network structure. High innovation, asset-light strategy, and global reach. So candidates, network structure requires looking at it as a shift from owning assets to orchestrating the assets. This is a shift. Network structure is a shift from owning assets to orchestrating them. It is a shift from owning assets to orchestrating them. And in this configuration, the firm acts as a central hub. The firm acts as a central hub. The firm acts as a central hub when it comes to the network structure. It acts as a central hub. That is the core that maintains control over the core. The brand. Okay, it maintains control over the brand and also the strategic direction, while outsourcing or partnering for everything else. So here the firm maintains control over the brand and strategic direction. And this we are describing the network structure, when to use it, and we are also trying to expound so that you can get more understanding in regard to. So here we are saying that when a firm adopts the network structure, the firm maintains control over two important things: the brand and the strategic direction. Then it outsources everything else. You can think of industries like biotechnology or semiconductors or even AI. In those industries, candidates, the frontier of knowledge moves pretty faster than any single research and development department can keep with it. So if a company tries to hire every expert and build every lab, it will be bankrupt before a product is launched. So instead, you may use just a network of universities. You can use a network of specialized labs and also tech startups. So instead of building all the labs, building all the offices, you can partner with universities, with specialized labs. If you are in, say, the biotech industry or AI or semiconductors, where we are saying that the frontiers of knowledge moves faster than any single company can build or can develop research and development. And the one benefit of this network network structure is that it allows for parallel development because multiple partners can work on different components of a breakthrough simultaneously. You can break down a component or processes so that each and every partner works on a separate component, and that improves or increases the speed of development. An example that comes to my mind is what we experienced during COVID with the pharmaceutical giants like Pfizer. During the COVID-19 vaccine development, Pfizer partnered with smaller and specialized firms to use their technology. So what Pfizer did, they provided the network, like testing. The work for Pfizer was to do the testing, to do what we call regulatory reach and also distribution, while the other companies, these small companies, provided the innovation and so on. We also talked about asset-light strategy. Asset-light strategy is often called the virtual corporation model. The goal is to maximize return on assets by not actually owning the assets, because you have light assets, few or zero assets, but you are using the assets of other companies. So you increase your return on assets. You understand? The goal is to maximize return on assets by not actually owning any of the assets. So the logic here is that owning a factory is a fixed cost that you must pay even if the sales are low. But in a network structure, those costs become variable. So you may only pay your manufacturing partner for what they produce. And you can see the benefit candidates. There is also that benefit of extreme scalability. By that I mean that a company can double its production overnight by simply hiring another partner without having to spend 3 years building a new plant. I've also talked about the global reach. Global reach. I gave an example of expanding into 50 different countries, which involves 50 different legal systems, 50 different languages, and different kinds of customer behavior, 50 different kinds of customer behaviors. So building a full-scale office in each of these countries is an administrative and also a financial nightmare, which can be avoided by adopting the network structure. You understand? So instead of exporting your culture, the firm partners with the local entities that already have the connections, they have the licenses, they have the street smarts to succeed. And another benefit candidates with this network structure is that if a specific market becomes politically unstable, which is in most cases the case, then the firm can exit the partnership without losing a massive physical investment. You can think of Coca-Cola candidates. You know Coca-Cola. While it feels like one giant company, it is actually a massive network. For example, the Coca-Cola company in a town, like say Atlanta. Coca-Cola in Atlanta produces syrup and handles global marketing. And they rely on a network of hundreds of independent bottling companies or partners worldwide who own the local trucks, they own the warehouses, they own the relationships with the local shops. You see that? It is because of this network structure that companies like Coca-Cola are very successful. That's what we mean when we talk about collaboration with external parties and strategic allies. And that marks the end of our lesson and our topic on matching organizational structure to strategy. Thank you. I hope you've been able to understand when we talk about collaboration with external parties and strategic allies through the network structure. Thank you. God bless you. Bye-bye.